devastating time for people all over the world. It began with the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand. As a result, many allies fought to defend each other, leading to a dreadful war. Germany was a major power at the time and was increasing in size. Many lives were lost with no hope for the future. Many families were separated because of this tragic event. The war wasn't supposed to last as long as it did, and as a result, many men signed up ready to risk their lives. There was constant firing from both sides, leading to absolutely nothing. As the war progressed, the ways of fighting advanced. Towards the end of the war, people had enough of the fighting and started peace movements. During this time, the enlistment was called conscription. At the age of 20, men were able to be a part of the war. When they went in, they served for 2 years in an active regiment, then the reserve, then territorial forces. They served for a total of 20 years. In Germany, since the population was increasing, the people had to serve for 28 years. There are many ways to get out of being enlisted. Men could be passed if they were widowers, had children, or if they were ministers. Conscription started March 2, 1916, and many men were excited to join the war. In the Army, there are enlistment deals that include employment, family, physical fitness, skills, and aptitudes, and religious and political circumstances. Some men did not want to sacrifice their lives. 16,000 men refused to fight and were called conscientious objectors. They could be sentenced to death for refusing to follow orders. Pacifists who weren't for killing people worked as stretch-bearers to contribute to the war.
war progressed, so did the style of warfare. In the war, the rifles were the most common. Machine guns were introduced in World War I. They were based off of Hiram's Maximum. They fired from 450 to 600 rounds per minute. Flamethrowers were also introduced. Their first time in the combat was February 26, when Germany deployed it. Tanks carried on a man's back used nitrogen pressure to spray fuel oil. It was ignited as it left the muzzle of a small, hand-directed pipe. Motors were used by the British in 1915. There were no moving parts, and it shot 22 3-inch shells per minute in 1,200 yards. Germany had motors that had a 10-inch barrel and shot shells with metal balls in them. Poison gas was a very toxic gas used in the war. Poison gas was used by Germans on April 22, 1915. There were cylinders stored with chlorine gas in the Y press area. Chlorine gas attacks the eyes and respiratory system. Mustard gas did the same, but also caused blistering on any exposed skin. Few men died from it. Tanks were introduced in the war. They were used to cross no man's land. They had machine guns and a cannon attached to them. In the beginning, they were ineffective and hard to steer. Air Force incorporated long planes and had machine guns. As they improved the equipment, the guns were in sync with the propeller of the plane. Early planes were flimsy and kite-like that with little wood. The speed had increased by the protection of pilots was scarce. Soon planes began to carry bombs. Submarines were used by Germany to sneak up on ships and torpedo them. In naval warfare, dreadnoughts were battleships with guns, allowing them to attack from far distances. Trench warfare is what the Western Front used. They used long trenches to protect themselves from gunfire. Neither side gained anything, but they both lost men. There were three ways of building trenches: entrenching, sapping, and tunneling. Going straight into the ground was entrenching. Though it was fast, it wasn't very safe, since you were open to fire. Extending a trench on one end was sapping. Though it was safer than entrenching, it took a long time. Making a tunnel and putting on a roof was called tunneling. Once they finished, they took the roof off. Though it was the safest way, it was hard to pull off. Going on during World War I. They wanted peace. Some groups created peace councils. There was a Russian Revolution in 1917. The Russian Soviet Republic withdrew from the war with peace of Brest-Litovsk in March 1918. The spirit of the revolution also spread to Austria-Hungary and Germany. On January 19, 1918, there was a strike in Vienna. On the 28th of January that same year, 100,000 workers in Berlin went into the streets to demand that the war should end. Germany got angry with all the protests, and thousands of protesters were sent to the front. This peace movement favored world organizations and was against conscription. In conclusion, World War I was bad for everybody. It really was not a necessary war. Many lives were lost for unreasonable reasons. Some people did not want anything to do with the war, but were forced to enlist. Others were excited about enlisting. The styles of warfare made a big difference in the war and killed a lot more people. The peace movements tried to stop the war, but it was ultimately too large to be stopped. The countries that participated, France, Great Britain, Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Russia, and some others, all lost many people, and the people might not have even known what they were fighting for.